How shall I do it? Oh, I know. I'll turn him into a flea. A harmless little flea. And then I'll put that flea in a box. And then I'll put that box inside of another box. And then I'll nail that box to myself. And when it arrives, I'll smash it with a hammer. It's brilliant, 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 I tell you. Genius, I say.
Now, did that count as terrorism? A question that I've been getting a lot over the last few days is what makes something terrorism and what makes something not terrorism? And considering that I have a degree in international relations and, you know, I'm kind of going to graduate school to study this, I feel like I can put in at least 2 cents worth about it. Terrorism is whenever someone uses violence or a threat of violence as a form of coercion for a political goal. Using that definition, which is the general definition that IR and poli-sci people use, an example of terrorism would be Yzma threatening Emperor Kuzco with turning him into a flea and then squishing him. The threat would actually be the form of terrorism. Another example of terrorism would be if Yzma actually did transform Kuzco into a little flea, then put him in a box, and then, you know, squished him, and then threatened to do this to a whole lot of the other elites in the Incan Empire unless they did what she said. That would technically be a form of terrorism, but it's on a smaller scale. Where is my apple? Here is my apple! I like a snack in the afternoon. What? One of the questions that's been coming up over the last few days is, did what happened in Boston count as terrorism? To a lot of people, it immediately looked like it. Yes, this was a bombing. It killed many people, and it hurt many, many more, and it scared the living bejesus out of everyone that I know who lives in Boston, plus a lot of people outside of Boston. You know, I'm in DC, it's a little scary right now. And to add to the question, we ask, does Sandy Hook count as terrorism? Well, here's the thing with Sandy Hook. Children and teachers were killed there, not for a higher purpose, not for a specific political goal, and really not for any personal gain. It was murder on a grand scale, and that's not necessarily terrorism. The two overlap, but they're not the same. And as for Boston, well, we're just gonna have to wait and see if it really was terrorism. It has to have a goal behind it. It has to have a larger purpose. And we don't know if those two boys had a larger purpose. Now, I want to add one last thing about terrorism before I shut up and do other things. When groups that use terrorism attack highly symbolic targets, the idea there is to cause fear, is to use the violence as a form of coercive force, so on and so forth, la-di-da-di-da. But another part of it is to cause social disunity within the target population. This was actually one of the things that happened in 9/11 in the studies of Al-Qaeda members. One of the things that was known well ahead of time by the people who were planning the September 11th attacks was that when they did attack, there would be a part of the US population that would call for massive counter-terrorism acts. And then there were going to be parts of the population that would say, no, we shouldn't do that. That's just going to give in to the fear and the violence. And then other people would say, it's not reacting to fear and violence, it's seeking justice. That's the disunity. That is the goal of that kind of terrorism. So something else about highly symbolic targets. They are often used to highlight struggles in places that aren't getting a lot of media attention, and I can assure you that before 9/11, most people in the United States had no idea where in the world Afghanistan was. Terrorism is a powerful force in politics and in social dynamics, and to try to ignore it, to try to say that it's useless or that it will always fail, demonstrates a lack of understanding of the dynamics at hand. And it's not exactly a very pretty thing to be saying, and if I had a larger viewership, I'd probably be getting so many flames right now. As John Green says, the truth resists simplicity. And in this case, the truth about terrorism is that its effects go beyond our awareness. I hope you enjoyed that video at least a little bit, and I'll see you soon.